Thrive Loud listeners, it's Nia. I'm just stopping in on behalf of the Thrive Loud team to wish you all a happy holiday season. Although this year's festivities may look a bit different, we hope that you're still able to find a way to connect with loved ones and experience the joy of this season. Happy holidays from your favorite podcast, Thrive Loud.
So you love podcasts, and you want to listen to more amazing content, but you have no idea what to listen to. And your friends keep telling you about great episodes, yet you can never remember what they told you. Well, here's the answer. Good Pods. It's the social app dedicated to podcasts where your friends, podcast listeners, and favorite podcast hosts all come together to share on their feeds what they recommend and what they listen to. You can connect to others, bookmark episodes, start a conversation about the episode, connect to the hosts, and most importantly, listen to great podcasts right in the Good Pods app. Download Good Pods wherever you get your apps and start sharing with a community that loves to listen. Good Pods. It's where to connect and listen.
In a court ruling U.S. versus Fishbein, a man subjected to potential incineration while wearing another man's suit is entitled to $10,000 worth of airline tickets. It's an obscure ruling, but a very important one. To Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
I don't need to teach you to be more like me. I need to teach you to be more like you.
Longtime listener and a huge fan.
Lou, I am tremendous.
And the more I unplug from technology and people, the more I can serve people with technology.
What you're standing for with connection, I think it's the key to everything.
You're just an amazing breath of fresh air for sure. Lou, you're a diamond in the rough, my man.
Because for me, if I'm not living high energy, I'm surviving and I want to be thriving.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
I love it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the co-founders of Social Capital, bringing digital assets to the people. Their first product is xBTC, the world's first tokenized derivative acting as a dominance hedge against Bitcoin and exposing the user to the price action of every single digital asset on Earth versus Bitcoin. Thrive Loud listeners, building things to break things. It's Mark Sgambelluri and Aatash Amir. Mark and Aatash, how are you guys?
Doing well. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Thanks so much for having us.
Excellent. I'm just glad I got through both of your names. And I didn't do that good of a job, Mark.
No, good enough.
You crushed it. You crushed it.
Good enough. All right. So let's give a little 411, if you would, a little information for the listeners here. Let's give a little bit of background on how you guys came together to form Social Capital, and really what was the void in the universe that was missing that helped bring this business together. Either one. Who wants to go? Mark?
Yeah. I think, I've been in digital assets since 2011 and Aatash 2012. So we've both been in for almost a decade at this point, and really seeing how complicated the whole area of cryptocurrencies is and how hard it is to get into them. We really want to simplify and make it easier. And as with many people over the last year, we've been in lockdown and cooped up inside and inside our, living rooms and home offices more often than usual. And with that, just started connecting online with a lot of different communities, and me and Aatash ended up in the same communities and started talking to each other and started ideating different ideas. And, really it all came down the same vein of how do we make this simpler? And then we came to the idea of xBTC that kind of wraps up all of these altcoin prices into one open market price, so that you can quickly and easily trade for or against that open market price of all of the digital assets versus Bitcoin. The last time that cryptocurrencies really blew up, Bitcoin dominance fell by about 50 or 60%. And so we foresee that Bitcoin dominance falling again. So it's kind of a way to be ready for that in the next big bull run for digital assets.
Let's try to even simplify this one derivative click more, if you would. So there's all of these digital assets out there, and there's more and more. And by the way, we did a whole week on cryptocurrencies in 2018. It was fascinating, educational, different types of products, different types of companies in unique ways. Are you going out and pooling other components together to make it really simple to say, hey, this is how to look at this space from a pricing, almost from an investing point of view, or from a way that you can utilize it as a currency itself?
We are not on the currency side. We're more on the using it side, and really a way to offset your other cryptocurrencies that you might be holding.
Okay, great. So that's a perfect way to describe it. If you have all these other cryptocurrencies, you've got basically the way to utilize it, which is one of the biggest challenges, right? I'll go to our operational guy here, Aatash, as it relates to using it. Explain to our listeners here how someone would go about using this, because just a little basic understanding, and then specifically how xBTC does it.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially what we've created is almost can be considered a new asset class. What we've developed can be called a hedge or a dominance hedge against the Bitcoin market cap dominance percentage, which essentially means there's a whole market of digital assets. Bitcoin takes up a pretty big chunk of that. All right. So the idea here is if you own a lot of Bitcoin, perhaps you want to hedge against the fact that alternative currencies are actually coming up. Now, the last time we had a bull run in the market, the Bitcoin market cap dominance percentage actually dropped down to the low 30%. And now it's sitting around, I think 62, 63 was the last time I checked. And we expect that percentage to actually drop. Now, if someone's already invested in Bitcoin or kind of wanting to get the action of all the other altcoins, but don't necessarily want to go out and pick them one by one or take the time and kind of hope for all of them to move up, then xBTC is a solution for that. So as the Bitcoin cap drops, xBTC and your value in that is going to start to grow.
So I got a really good question. How does social capital make money?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those spaces, digital assets, where there's a lot of different ways, but the main way is through team tokens. And so we kept at the very beginning of the creation of xBTC, we kept about 10% of the tokens for the team. And so that 10% is kind of like our quote unquote equity in xBTC. And so as xBTC grows, that 10% is where we make profit, quote unquote. And that all depends on the open market price of it, right? That depends on it being successful. And then there's also a lockup period, so we can't cash those out instantly or dump everything. So after 6 months, it starts vesting out to us over the next 12 months. So it takes about a year and a half to completely vest out to us. And then, at that point, hopefully the market is healthy enough and large enough that us taking some profits and getting some gains is not adversely affecting the token itself. So that's how most people do it. They'll take a small percentage for the team, and then hopefully everything grows so that their small percentage is worth enough to sustain them financially.
Now, you guys are knee deep in the industry. So obviously this is what you live and breathe each and every day. And the world is still kind of we're not using it every day. Let's put it that way. I think a lot of reasons why. It's a little complicated. It's not as easily accessible and as liquid to access. Give me both of your takes really on when we're going to get to a point that there isn't that much difference between whether I'm using Bitcoin or some other form of currency to transact with something, because that seems to be something that is still distant or bridged away. Do you agree or disagree with that? And I want to hear your thoughts on when we start getting down that road.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's really been a matter of that, right? Because Bitcoin, crypto in general, is just so fresh. It hasn't been around for that long. And what we really need is trust. And that comes with time. But there are also some other factors in the world right now that are kind of, quickening the pace of that adoption. For example, the sinking dollar. Our economy right now, at least in North America and much of the rest of the world, is really propped up. Not to mention with everything that went on with COVID, it's pretty artificial right now. So I think having that start going in that downward direction and having this readily available solution, it's kind of one in one, you know. So I think that's kind of a step we could take, and that's really what I see happening in the future. And I agree with you completely. It really comes down to when can one actually use it for everyday purchases, to buy food, to buy clothes, you know. When's that going to happen? So
yeah,
it's
and
really
I
a matter
think,
of time.
building on that and taking a different angle at it. I mean, yes, I mean, now that PayPal is on board and Square and MicroStrategy is a very large NASDAQ company is buying Bitcoin for their reserves, it's only going to grow and become easier from here. But looking at the entrepreneur side and the business side, we live on analogies in the world. And an analogy is, looking at Silicon Valley in the early days, people didn't really understand and weren't using computers, weren't using the internet. And slowly those who were first and those who were figuring it out really benefit the most. And we're at an incredible time in cryptocurrencies where getting into these communities and just being present and engaging and learning about it and sharing your knowledge and sharing your skills, you can really give back to these companies and get involved in these companies very directly and really build something from scratch. In the early Silicon Valley days, it was building out of the garage. And today people are building out of their living rooms, building out of their offices and building new ideas and companies from scratch. And that's really because we're on the edge of innovation. And so there's still a barrier to entry and you still got to learn a lot, but it's definitely worth jumping over that hurdle. And you can really build some really cool things really quickly and with really little capital in this world. And so it's definitely, it steers some people away, but it should also make some people run towards it at this very incredible time.
Mark, I'll add on something that I pulled from, I think it's on your social media handle thing, where you basically say building things to break things. And I kind of like your other message of bringing digital assets to the people. When you guys looked at the space and you started to say, hey, we recognize what's out there, this overall marketing message is actually important here for you guys, isn't it? It's trying to make something that's been maybe more isolated or niche and try and make it more common. Is that what you guys are about?
For sure. I mean, that's the thing that both of us got into digital assets because of the larger message of them. And I really started just as an evangelist in the idea of giving money back to the people and having the people control their finances more directly. And you really see that today, right? That you can use decentralized finance, which is basically a savings account that everybody owns. It's basically a credit union for the 20th century. And so, 21st century now, right? But you can get 8% or 12% interest. And it's because there is no overhead, there's no shareholders, there's no management that is taking those extra percentages away from you. And that's really democratizing and leveling the playing field and making it so that anybody can get a secure bank account with US dollars in it, digital dollars. And there's so many people who are unbanked and there's so much unevenness in the landscape. And so it really is about digital assets, leveling that playing field and giving an access point to everyone. And that's definitely where our larger vision is. And we're just in the first stages of that.
I want to ask Aatash a question as it relates operationally, because this is something that a lot of people who are not as familiar with currencies on this, who are listening to the program. Okay, the banks themselves. Mm-hmm. Banks in dealing with these, and because one of the biggest issues is, look, there's, I don't know what the percentage is of the population of the world that is familiar with a banking system. And your comments about the dollar are very true as it relates to how currencies work and where the values are there. But a lot of it is all about liquidity and being able to pay for something easily. And there's that wall of where financial systems and specifically the banking system sits, because they're the ones trying to use terminology you guys use some form of hedge in the way that they're using political capital or restrictions there. When do you see that wall breaking down and that being more intertwined than it has been in the past?
It's a difficult thing to estimate, but in my estimation, my guess would be within the next 5 years, we will see all major banks providing some form of solution to blockchain technology, either offering a place or wallet system for people to be able to store their cryptocurrencies, or even providing their own form of maybe a stable coin, or even, probably not in the next 5 years, but some form of using decentralized finance, a savings account, or something that can actually provide those higher APY percentages. And yeah, just in terms of the language, I think it's just right now, crypto is really going to be a reflection of traditional finance. Traditional finance over the last, decades, centuries, since the beginning of currency, we can even say, has developed and formed into what it is today, because it works in that sense. So seeing a lot of that language cross over and seeing a lot of the same solutions is to be expected. But on top of that, we're going to see a lot of innovation, because there are things that we can do in cryptocurrency that we cannot do in the real world. Or I guess by the real world, I mean the current system that's in place. Crypto is very much the real world. Yeah.
I want to hear more about this company you guys are dealing with, and maybe some of the challenges of running a company in this space. I guess what I want to ask is, as for taking a step aside from the currency itself, your day-to-day work within the space, running the company, the brand, the messaging, all of that. How has that ride been for the two of you during, because obviously the industry is constantly changing, but you're also running a company here, if you would. So what is that like for the two of you? Either one of you can take this. Mark, you want to lead?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of layers to that. It's a space that is not completely fleshed out for the financial structures and legal structures of what a digital asset is. And there's different definitions for every digital asset. So you definitely need a team to get there. It definitely takes a village to build a digital asset. And so it's really about networking and branching out and building those relationships, and really, being an open person who's helping everyone else. So if they're happy to help you, it's really it's a giving community that you really need to be involved in and open to helping out others, because there's a lot of help needed for everyone. And it's kind of like a band of people who are working together to build this space, knowing that the outside world is not yet completely fluid with it. And then the day-to-day, it's a very different business from how you run a clothing company or an online store. Like, you interface with your community every single day. And some people have very different mindsets for what they want out of the token than what other people want out of the token. And you have to interface directly with them, which is great in ways. You directly connect it to your audience. But there's also negatives in that, as any of your crowd can see on Facebook or Twitter. When you're directly connected to people online, there are negatives to that. And so that just comes with the space, and you just have to take the positives with the negatives in that, and be responsive and, have a skin of steel.
Listeners need to know that Mark is in one country and Aatash is in another, but they're really close to each other. You want to give the logistics of how you guys have had to deal with COVID, maybe a little before and after. Obviously, Aatash, if you could explain where you guys are and what it was like before COVID and how you've been working today.
Yeah, so I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and Mark's down in Seattle, so really quite close. But yes, so once COVID came into play, obviously, we were all inside and locked up. Not only that, there were kind of regulations thrown down on the borders, and as of now, I believe Canadians can actually fly in and out of the United States, but nobody from America can actually come into Canada.
That's because you guys don't want us, and that's fair. You
no, we
shouldn't have
love
to deal
you guys.
with us.
No, you guys are great. So, but the beauty is that all of this is digital. A majority of it is digital. Right. There were a few conferences and physical events that we sort of had to miss out on, or may not have had the opportunity to go and partake in. But a lot of these guys are actually switching over, finding these solutions to make everything digital and have, webinars or Zoom conferences and such. So that makes it doable. Mark and I, we're often at our computers. That's where the work happens. So just keeping in touch with each other, being able to plan everything out, it comes together. It's quite natural at this point. But yeah, that being said, once COVID lets up, things will be a lot easier. We can actually maybe, do things in person, attend these events, and get back to reality.
So I want to ask this question that I ask all the guests on this program, and we'll go back and forth with each one of you, so you could each opine. And obviously, look, you're literally changing the way that we interact and transact. And you're part of that new landscape that is just innovative and cool, which is awesome, which means that you guys are on most days thriving each and every day. But like anybody else, whether it's from COVID related issues or challenges in the business space or all the things that we deal with, some days we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and not thriving. When you guys are having trouble thriving, what practice do you seek or individual you seek out to get yourselves back on the thriving track? Mark, you can go first.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the basics, exercise, meditating, eating healthy, taking a step back and taking a survey of your life and, writing down what did I eat today is helpful and considering if that's helping you to thrive. And then, taking some time to meditate. And I think also just thinking of creation versus consumption is a good balance for me in considering, how much should I consume today and how should I create today, and trying to shift the balance towards creation. We're in a very empty vessel part of our evolution as humans, especially with COVID, of where we just sit on the couch and consume both, food and media. And so considering that and taking a step back and really asking yourself, what am I consuming? What am I producing? What am I creating? And trying to shift the balance towards creation and saying, okay, I'm going to take an hour today and I'm just going to create. And that whole hour, I'm going to be intentional about not consuming anything. Look at a blank page and do art or writing or whatever it is you do, whatever your creation is, and just create. So those are the two things I think about: the health, mental and physical, and then creating versus consuming.
Mark, I can't tell you how on point that is. I literally think my team and I just put up a post in Instagram about ABC, which for me is always be creating and putting content, product, things out there. I never thought of it in a consumption creation point of view. Very cool.
And I think any great minds or anybody who's created some great things, 99% of the things that they create, we don't see. And so it's really about, mass and how much you do. It's really about quantity just as much as quality when producing. So just keep on producing. Yeah, for sure.
Aatash, how about you?
Honestly, it's very much in line with what Mark said. I think he really hit it on the head there. Really taking that time to consider what it is that we do. What is the overarching mission here? What is the super objective? So I like what he said there about really weighing out and choosing that creativity over consumption, really building it out and taking a look into, again, that overall mission. And we are part of something that is bringing change and is revolutionary. And that in its own, I think, brings and gives me the energy that I need to wake up every day or to not sleep and work all night, whatever it may be, just really addressing what it is that we're doing.
Very, very cool. We're going to put it all in the show notes and everything will be there with links, which, by the way, users and those that follow these links, be patient. You have to click a bunch of things to get to it. But can you guys share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, social media links, handles, anything like that? It'll be in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of our communications happen on Telegram. You can find us at xBTC official. Those links will be on our website, which is www.xbtc.fi. That's FI. And also, of course, on Twitter, you can find us at xBTC official.
Excellent. All right. Permission to go down Fun Street with the two of you guys.
Permission granted.
All right, Mark, I'm going to start off with you here. Can you share with the listeners your all-time favorite movie?
As of now, I would say probably Interstellar. And I think it's just one of those movies where the first time you see it, it makes you think and take a step back. And you're still putting together the pieces as you walk out of the theater, kind of like a Memento or Inception. I guess most of those are Chris Nolan. But yeah, just the world building and the landscapes of that. And so one of those consumptions that's okay for me because it helps me completely check out. It's almost like meditation. So that's the type of movies I like. They completely take me out of reality for a moment. So yeah, Interstellar for sure.
Shockingly, the CEO of a company that's created a tokenized derivative product has a complicated movie that you need to watch at least 3 times to fully understand as his favorite movie. Not surprising.
Got to get out of your own head,
Exactly. Aatash, what about you? What's your favorite movie?
Oh man, I'm embarrassed about this one, but I think it's Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is
a good movie.
I mean, look, man, that's it. All right, period. Full
Okay.
stop.
He doesn't want to go
Pearl
into the
Harbor.
details of it. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go through the speed round of Fun Street here on Thrive Loud. And this is how this works, gentlemen. This is going to be interesting because we'll go back and forth here. We'll go Mark, Aatash, Mark, each time I ask a question. I'm going to ask you something. The first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up, motivate you, make you feel good, help you thrive. All righty. I'll start with you this time, Aatash. A song that lifts you up or pumps you up that you love to listen to.
Oh, man. You know, a lot of the music I listen to is instrumental. So I guess the genre would be EDM.
EDM. Mark, how about you? Favorite song?
Right at this moment, Texas Sun by Leon Bridges. Just a very relaxing vibe.
Gotcha. Mark, a favorite food that's not a dessert?
Ooh, I would say on the moment. Trader Joe's right now in the U.S., for those who are in the U.S., has some broccoli chips and kale chips. They're actually good and healthy at the same time.
Aatash, how about you?
I'd have to say a good dry aged ribeye with a candied beet salad.
I want to change my answer.
All right. Can't do it. It's too late now. Aatash, favorite food, your favorite dessert?
Oh, man. I think tiramisu is probably on the top of that list.
Mark?
I would have to go with, gosh, these are harder than I thought. Gelato. Gelato would be my favorite dessert.
Fair enough. Okay. Mark, an activity you wish you did more of?
Biking, getting on my bike and riding.
Okay. Aatash, an activity you wish you did more of?
Physical, any.
Aatash, an activity you wish you did less of?
Stagnation. You know, I guess something I did less of. Watching Netflix.
Okay.
You know.
Mark, an activity you wish you did less of?
Going through life mindlessly, like those moments where you're just like, oh, wait, there goes 2 hours.
Mark, if you could snap your fingers and go anywhere in the world, where are you?
Ooh, my family's actually from Guam, the island of Guam. So I would go to Guam. There's a lot of family and food and amazing beaches there.
Wow. And Aatash?
Probably Vitalik's house. So I can ask him what's going on with Ethereum this year. Maybe make some early plays, you know.
I like that.
Is that weird? Is that creepy?
that might be a little too much into the crypto space that we need you to get out of, but I think it shows the passion that you have for what you do. So that's totally great. Mark Sgambelluri, Aatash Amir, both from Social Capital, the co-founders. Great job. Congrats on xBTC and bringing it to the world. And continued success for you guys. We're going to keep you in the news alerts here and make sure that everyone is following you now as this thing continues to grow and develop. Continued success to you, this business, and thanks so much for coming on Thrive Loud today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lou. Have a great day. Thanks for having us on. This was really great. Made me, think about life.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Head on over to Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe and listen to all of our incredible episodes. Follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media, and head on over to thriveloud.com to connect directly to Lou and learn how you and your business can thrive loud too. Thanks for listening.